and begin, please.
Presenting Heart Homes, home is where the heart is. At Heart Homes, we believe everyone deserves to be housed with dignity, and Heart Homes invests in Rochester through the creation of high-value housing at an affordable cost. I'm Benjamin Hart. I'm the founder and owner of the company. Sometimes I dress in a suit, but most of the time I like to be working on houses and making them better. So, in the United States, over 45% of renters have been victims of illegal acts by landlords. Even worse, 38% of RCSD students changed addresses in 2021. And at any given time, 2,000 Rochester school kids are homeless, maybe living in a shelter, maybe staying with family, but displaced from a permanent home. And that's the problem, right? Homelessness is pretty visible. You can see people in tents. But housing insecurity is a less visible but still very salient problem. A lot of smart people are writing about this, including Pulitzer Prize-winning author Matthew Desmond, who said, "Home is where children find safety and security, where we find our identities, and where citizenship starts." So I've done a lot of customer discovery interviews. I hear things like this all the time. We need landlords who are ethical. I feel like they forget we are humans too. And State Assembly member Harry Bronson said you can drive 10 minutes from one part of the city to another and life expectancy drops by 10 years. So, this is what Rochester looks like sometimes, depending on where you go. And this model is predatory, but it's still profitable. And the system is working the way it was designed, with redlining and other historical injustices. So let's zoom in on one of these houses. There it is, front page of the paper, DNC, looks like this. So imagine doing your laundry in this basement. Imagine preparing a meal in this kitchen. Imagine living in this bedroom and washing up for work in the morning in that bathroom. And imagine leaving so suddenly that you leave your children's books behind. Well, Heart Homes got a hold of this house, and this is what it looks like today. There's the kitchen and bathroom again. There's the bedroom. And there's a place that you can live and be proud of. This isn't a one-time thing. Do this over and over again. This is a house at Gabriel Avenue. We were able to replace the ceiling. Lots of improvements. And our customers are a diverse cross-section of Rochester. We're totally committed to fair housing. We want to help individuals and families can look like anything. So, Heart Homes is for Rochester renters seeking a long-term lease of a single-family home until they become homeowners. We provide safe, affordable, ethical, and stable housing at a competitive price, unlike typical passive landlords, aka slumlords. Business model very simple: buy a dilapidated house, fix it up, rent it, and then after achieving a break-even point, we sell it. One of our commitments is to sell only to owner-occupants. So we want to be your last landlord. We've got a long-term vision, pathway to home ownership, ethical practices, and we're responsive to the marketplace. In many ways, we're like a not-for-profit agency. We're nothing like a slumlord, but we can be a little more nimble in the marketplace and responsive because we're a for-profit agency. And that's important because we want a housing market that works. This person told us, I want a home, but I do not want a picture of me on Habitat for Humanity's website. This is a couple that we helped, healthcare hero, social worker, Colin's a nurse, Neffy's a social worker, and we want to be their last landlord, and we were. We gave them a safe place to live. They figured the rest out. They used me as a resource to become homeowners, and they're homeowners today. This is our current inventory of homes, and we're growing. This model works. We bought this fire-damaged house for $45,000, and we sold it for $121,000. So what's the problem? Well, time and money. Time and money to source the deal. Time and money to buy the house. Time and money to fix the house, which is the step that all the slumlords are skipping. And yes, incremental growth is good growth. We've been able to develop a small portfolio, but for lasting, permanent change, we want to scale the solution. We want to buy vehicles. We want to hire contractors. Like this contractor is willing to work for me full time, but I can't provide them that. I need outside funding. One of the big steps we're doing to scaling our solution is we bought this mixed-use commercial property. It's got a 2-car garage in the back, commercial space in the front. So we're no longer a home-based business. We can actually have infrastructure and legitimacy, and this is being remodeled right now. Bought it for $240. Remodeling budget's already cresting over $225, so you can see the break-even point takes very long in real estate, but the solution needs to happen today. We've got proof of concept for being able to attract investors, at least on a small scale. We were able to fund a Kiva loan of $10,000 provided by 74 lenders. You can lend as much as $25 on the Kiva platform. And we want to scale that. We want to get in front of people with deep pockets who are willing to take less return for less risk, because that's the other trade-off here. Hard Homes is not as risky a proposition because we're very committed to fair housing and we do things right. Once I fix a house, I generally don't have to go back because it's fixed. Doing a lot of PR, trying to be a thought leader in terms of ethical real estate. We get on radio shows, we talk to politicians, that's Damon Meeks, Imagine RIT, showcasing with my son the solution we're trying to scale. Very particularly proud of this interview with Evan Dawson on WXXI Connections. And this is something I'm very proud of too. The Credit Builders Alliance and the Mayor of Rochester and the City of Rochester rolled out a program to help people build their credit. So a lot of renters are banking invisible, or they have low credit and they're not being given credit for paying their rent on time. Maybe they cash their check and they pay it out. So we want to be the most favored nation in terms of small redevelopment in Rochester, New York, and we're getting some headway with that. And I end with this slide because I want to say we really got to think about the next generation. We got to think about a housing market that works for everyone, where people have rootedness, where people have stability, they can get their mail consistently, they're not moving every other day. And so I end with this slide because I used to say, I won't rent it to you unless I'm willing to live there. Now I say, I won't rent it to you unless my kids could live there. Thank you very much.
So we'll begin 6 minutes now.
I guess I'll start again. Well, again, pretty good. Help us understand your problem for sure. I guess we're all curious to know who's your customer. Can you just kind of like tell us who your customer is, and then kind of like help us understand if it's something that's meant to be paid for. It's a service that you're offering. Of course, it's homes. You got you show us a kind of a mod problem in there. Unit economics, for instance, 45K house, which about like 3 or 4 years ago, and then marked at 120 grand and 60K profit.
Yeah.
So we want to think through the process and really kind of understand who's going to pay for this and really kind of nail down your customer.
So my customer is middle income families and individuals that maybe don't have access to safe and secure housing, which is a lot of people. When I put a unit online, I get hundreds of applicants. I need to be fully agnostic to who they are as individuals, so I'm not targeting anyone of a certain race, family makeup, nothing like that. But I think it is for people who aren't homeowners yet. And that yet is very important because after living in a hard home, the goal is they can use me as a resource, they have some rootedness, they can keep the same job, their kids can go to the same school, and then eventually they become homeowners. And I think, I don't have the exact numbers, I want to actually create a study, look back at my old leases and ask them, but I'd say about 50, 60, 70% of people that rented from me move because they bought a house, which I'm very proud of.
Right.
You mentioned, I think maybe two or three slides ago, was the Credit Builders Alliance, and there's clear indication that you have other partnerships. If you were to scale as you envision, what might that look like, and how might partnerships amplify your impact?
Yeah, I think a lot of not-for-profit agencies are seeing that there's a connection between their goals as an agency and as an organization and housing. And you can do a lot of good for someone's mental health, you can do a lot of good for someone's education, but if they get evicted or they move because their landlord won't fix anything or the landlord sells, like that creates a certain spiral. So definitely interested in attracting more not-for-profit partners, grant funders, investors with an equity and social governance mindset. Absolutely, it's a key to it. And also, I want to be a thought leader. I want other landlords and investors to take on the same mindset. It doesn't harm me. It's only going to raise the property values in Rochester. It's only going to elevate our community. And it's weird, like, yes, they're competitors in a certain sense, but also we all hopefully want what's best for Rochester. And the ones that don't, I wish would just get out of the business altogether. So, yeah, like I've spoken to Keeping Our Promise. They're rehousing refugees. You know, there's interesting connections being made, but nothing is fully official yet, except for Credit Builders Alliance, some grant funding from Pathstone, things like that. So, yeah.
I've got 3 questions, you can choose. which
Three,
one to
boom, boom,
skip.
boom. All right, maybe I'll hit them all.
Or some of them might be like, one of them might be easier. What's your vision? Are you trying to recreate this, like first in Rochester and other similar cities like Syracuse, Detroit, Flint? 2, have you thought of, and maybe, or what more so like what would be your partnership or engagement model with the likes of state or local agencies? They might have like grants or incentive programs through NYSERDA for like, and there's probably some aspects to this that could be classified as like energy efficiency, or you're getting it closer to like a passive house, for example. And then 3rd, what has been, or what have you thought in terms of approach for engaging institutional investors that are more ESG conscious?
Sure. So, my home is Rochester, New York. I was always
Yeah.
born and bred. I went to Rochester City School District. So this business model is tied to that, but it doesn't mean it needs to end there. And that's, I think, where I talked about the public relations campaign.
Yeah.
I talked about being a thought leader, and I do, I'm growing a social media presence. I expect to maybe do a podcast one day. But proof of concept is kind of table stakes. Once I show that you can be ethical and not be a slumlord or a gentrifier and cut a middle path, I think other people will follow, other cities will follow, and there's already other creative housing models like tiny homes. I don't need to do everything, but what I think is like there's good companies in Rochester like Home Leasing, and they develop 40, 50, 60 unit apartment buildings. But there's not a lot of people that stick with single families and duplexes and things like that. And in terms of sustainability and passive home, I'm all about it. Sure, if I can integrate solar or heat pumps, I'm with it. But I think my best environmental impact is making sure that on trash day, 10% of our city isn't getting evicted every month. And all that plastic is entering the landfill. And I think rootedness actually is the reduce, right? We talk about recycle, but like that's a real reduction. But yes, we've done NYSERDA work already. That is one of our partners. Every house that you saw went through NYSERDA and got at least energy efficient equipment, not change over to heat pumps yet. But all the furnaces are 95% efficient, and new light bulbs and new appliances. So some of that work is being done. Yeah. Was that all 3? Did I get all 3?
That was 2, and then 3 was institutional investors.
Oh,
Time.
well,
Time.
get in front of people like this. That's how I do it.